friends to a podcast that's been described as
emotional
and
terrifying.
One guy even said it was
So awesome it will shock you to the core.
finally another podcast about
Godzilla!
and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, KES and Slick.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the podcast from Toho Island. Welcome to the podcast from Toho Island. Follow us on the Twitter at Toho Island Pod. I'm KES, and with me as always is Slickamoto-san.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Tommy Kesarico.
We're just going out partying, you know, 'cause we're close pals.
Winning
So-
winning Emmys that we can't account for.
Also, I'm a Red Sox minor league baseball player Hall of Famer.
Oh, yes. Yes. The Miko is the gift that keeps on giving.
The video they put out last night was fantastic. But anyway, we're not talking about the Amico because there's no Godzilla games on the Amico, nor does the Amico actually exist in any physical or meaningful way. So instead, we're going to talk about the NES.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the Godzilla games on the Nintendo Entertainment
Godzilla's
System.
foray into the Nintendo Entertainment System. Not the first video games that
Yeah.
Godzilla was in, but the Nintendo ones.
The Nintendo ones. So these would be the first ones we played.
Yes, definitely.
Because I was never an Atari kid. First console I got was the Nintendo. I had a few Game & Watches, but the Nintendo Entertainment
You were
System.
Game & Watches?
I did.
Wow.
I had a Mario one and the Donkey Kong one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know those existed when we were kids.
Yep, they sure did. But my parents clearly, with their great insight, got rid of them.
I was going to say, I was like, those are probably worth money, aren't they?
They're worth a lot of money. Not for me anymore, though. So, but for Godzilla, I remember the first time playing the NES game was your house, actually.
Right. Yes, because I got into Godzilla when I was about 10, so that would put us at 1994. And then I'm pretty sure the copy of the Godzilla game that I have came from that guy Richie that was in the north end
Guy
of
Ritchie?
Guy Ritchie? That guy Richie who had the video game rental store in the north end of our hometown.
Of the island.
Yes, on the island, the north end of the island. And because I think I rented it a bunch of times, and I think he was friends with my father, and I think he eventually just gave my father the game to give to me.
Nice.
So I got the box. I got a manual. It's a little beat up, but yeah. I mean, I have both this and Godzilla 2. I have physical copies of both, but Godzilla 2 I got much later in life, but Godzilla I had when I was a kid. So yeah, you I'm sure did play it at my house.
Yep. First time I played it was probably like 97, 98. So I was like 13, 14. But we'll cover this in just a moment. I just wanted to regale you with our stories of video gaming. Any news you want to lay on me?
I don't think there's really anything too newsworthy as now, which means something big will break as soon as we finish recording this episode.
Just like the Intellivision and the CU podcast.
That's right, exactly, just like that. Yeah, no, I don't think anything's really too noteworthy to discuss. I mean, there is some Godzilla Battle Line news, but maybe we're going to do that in a little bit longer form in the near future. Teaser.
Oh my. So I'll have to be on that episode.
Yep. I hope you like
Drive down the ratings.
giant octopuses, because that's going to be a big topic.
I love octopus.
Okay, well that's a little teaser there for things in the coming weeks.
But yeah, well, I guess if there's no big news to discuss, we'll just get right into it. So we're only covering the NES games, Godzilla and Godzilla 2. There are Game Boy games. There are Super Nintendo games. We'll cover those later.
They're coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
But for right now, we're just going to talk about the NES console. And we'll start off with the first Godzilla game. Do you want to set some table? Or do you want to program a digital table for us?
Sure, yes. Yeah, so Godzilla Monster of Monsters is the title of the first game. Released in 1988, published by Toho, developed by Compile. Okay. Well, I'll kind of skip the gameplay, but there's not too much in terms of like development history with either this game or Godzilla 2. But things that are kind of notable about this game, it is the basis of a really famous creepypasta. I don't know if you've ever seen images of the creepypasta around the internet.
I saw it.
So Red is the famous creature that was created for the creepypasta, and this game is the basis of it. I'm not going to recap it here. I mean, it's pretty easy to find. This game is pretty notable for basically being filled to the brim with Toho references, not just Godzilla, but like Toho references. Like almost every single enemy in this game, and they throw a lot of fucking enemies at you in this game at any given time, is somehow related to a Toho property.
Right.
It's like you got the Mysterian satellite, you got like Manda is like this like fire snake thing coming out of volcanoes. Yep. You got like spaceships from like the Battle from Outer Space, which isn't even a kaiju movie. You got what was like the Matengo mushrooms are in like the like weird space levels where you fight like the overgrown mushroom things. Like it's just like this game is just filled with so many obscure references, and like and then plus two, it's like, you know, Godzilla 84 has already come out. Biolante's not out yet at this point. The Super X2 is like one of the weapons used by the aliens in this game. Just the fan service is strong with this game, but I think we'll get more into that as we get into the gameplay. The Famicom version is harder than the American version in the sense that Godzilla's mobility is limited. Like he can only move one space at a time, and Mothra, I think, can move 2 or 3. But I do own both versions. I've only kind of played through the first level of the Famicom one. Other than that, not too drastically different. And while this game is filled with references to all sorts of different kaiju, 2 are noticeably absent. There are no references to Anguirus or Rodan, because originally this game was supposed to have 4 playable characters, and Anguirus and Rodan were going to be the other 2 playable characters. Okay. So their sprites are in the game at various degrees of completeness. I'm sorry, they're in the Famicom version. You can't, so you can access the Anguirus sprite is more playable than the Rodan. Well, the Rodan sprite is just not really playable. So, but you can play a little bit as Anguirus. Easiest way to do it is like to use like an emulator, and you can mess with it a little bit, and you can unlock Anguirus' sprite and make him playable. But I mean, he's not done, so he's like essentially invincible, and not all of his animations are in place. But Anguirus and Rodan were supposed to be 2 other playable characters. Rodan was going to play just like Mothra, it looked like. That seemed to be the idea. But they were removed. You know, it's unsure why. Maybe it was just a timing thing or whatever. But this Godzilla figure, obviously immortalized in a classic figure that we all have, although it's based on the Godzilla 84 mold. But
it's got like the pixelated art.
Yeah. Whereas the Godzilla in this game is kind of based on like the 1964 Mothra Godzilla with giant ass dorsal plates. And finally, and I'll do this for Godzilla 2 as well. The current value of this game on eBay, I was looking at some completed auctions. $30 loose for the cart is what it's been going for. $120 with the box and manual.
Okay. So that's pretty reasonable. For like a obscure. It was not a common game.
Yes. Hold on to your butts when we get to Godzilla 2. So that's kind of setting the table. I was thinking maybe we kind of break this down by categories. Maybe that's kind of the way to go about it.
That's exactly how I notated my notes on this. So
you noted your notes?
Yeah. So I broke it down by music and sound effects, graphics, controls, level design and gameplay, and boss fights.
All right. Where do you want to start?
Let's start at the beginning. First thing you do is you pump in this cartridge and you hear yes. The music kicks fucking ass.
A lot of the music in this game is awesome. If you didn't get too deep into the game, and I don't want you to spoil that now, I recommend if you just go back, turn the game on, and you go to the password screen and you just hit sound, or you type in sound, you'll get the sound test, and the first 20 items are like all the music in the game.
Yep.
And like there's some that's not used in the game, and like there's so much good music in this game.
Yeah, there's some repetition, but like as I was playing it, I was like, oh, this song rips, and it reminded me a lot of, especially in the Mothra section, it reminded me a lot of a sideways like space shoot 'em up. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Except your sprite is enormous. So, and the music in those games are typically pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So it reminded me a lot of playing those types of games, especially in like the side-scrolling levels.
Yeah.
But like the title song is just so good.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that title splash screen too looks really cool.
Yep.
Kind of got like a cool like 50 style like B movie type thing going on with the cool Godzilla draw on the front of it. Although he starts behind it, then you press start and he's suddenly in front of it. A little weird. But yeah, music is badass. God, there's so many good themes. Like later in this, like the Mechagodzilla theme is really good.
Yes, I was gonna say the boss fight music was really good, but Mechagodzilla's in particular was really good.
I like Ghidorah's a lot too.
Ghidorah's was more. It was pretty close to the actual Godzilla theme. It was like, like it had that going on. So like I thought the best part about the game, to be honest, was the music.
Yeah, this is kind of like how Simple Surfer is like.
Right.
A whatever game, but the music is like fucking incredible, you know. And
I'm always partial to like NES soundtracks too. I think for the most part, they're some of the best music in video games ever.
Yeah, agreed.
So, love it. I gave the sound a 5 and the sound effects a 5. Even though, like the sound effects are pretty like basic, but
yeah, I do like that they try to give everybody like a roar.
Yeah,
you know, and they did it using like Nintendo tracker technology.
Yeah,
I thought that was I like you know it's like Godzilla has a roar in this game, so right. It's cool. You know, explosions are good sounding too when you blow stuff up. Like the crumbling noise is good. Yeah, I'm with you. Music is sound effects are a 5 for me as well.
So next up I have graphics, and I thought the sprites were like top notch.
I agree.
This is the NES. You're very limited in what you can do. Godzilla and Mothra look so good. You're playing with them and you're just like, yeah, this is like as good of a Nintendo Godzilla experience as you can get with the graphics, I think.
Yep. I agree.
I couldn't like think of any way to improve the sprite graphics.
Yeah, I agree. The boss graphics too, like are particularly. I mean, Varan looks great in particular. Ghidorah looks pretty good. Ghidorah looks like just like they took like a picture of his like Showa incarnation, and just he's so huge. Like I feel like he doesn't get a lot of mobility. Mm-hmm. But I thought Varan looks great. I think Ghidorah is another standout in this. I like the Mechagodzilla one too, even though he's like a little. He's probably like the.
That's like a little plain in my opinion.
Oh, the Gigan one. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
I like the Gigan one a lot.
Yeah.
Weird thing I noticed earlier today when I was playing, just doing a quick little run. Gizora from Yog Monster from Space. I was looking at like his eye and it's like, oh, his eye's like kind of tired. I was like, where have I seen that eye before? And I realized I had just watched a clip of Aaron Rodgers on Pardon My Take, getting all pissed off at the host. And I was like, oh, looks like Aaron Rodgers. Huh.
There we go. I'm a Mac Jones guy. That's my quarterback.
I'm not an Aaron Rodgers guy. I just enjoyed watching the clip of him getting pissed off at on Pardon My Take this week when they said, so how many people do you think you killed by not getting vaccinated?
That's a very good question to ask him.
And then they said, how many grandmothers? And he got very upset at that line of questioning. So, but anyway.
I'm going to have to listen to Pardon My Take now.
It's the only time I ever did.
They just won me over.
So, so I thought all those were great. I thought all the or like the stage level enemies, I thought all those look really good.
I was going to say like the Manda or whatever.
Yeah, it's Manda.
I was going to say like, someone else's name, but I thought that was good. Like any like sort of enemy was good. The backgrounds were really good. The only real issue I have was like in the levels when you're like punching the rocks and like the stuff coming out of the rocks. I was just kind of like, this doesn't look great. But it's also the Nintendo, so again, you're very limited in what you can do. Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff crammed on screen in this game.
Yes.
I feel like that doesn't like really help like the levels. I feel like sometimes like they get so busy sometimes that I feel like some of the backgrounds like just kind of become a little blasé
Yeah.
at points. But yeah.
But like the one negative I would say is the backgrounds for the boss fight are just black screens.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have done like some sort of like image in the background, whether it's like the same background as the level you just played through to get to the boss fight or what. But like they could have done something to spruce that up.
Yeah, just a little like if it was just like whatever the background was, like whatever terrain Godzilla was standing on at the time.
Yeah.
Like just that would have gone a huge way in the presentation.
Yes.
But yeah, that is unfortunate that you just go to like this like black screen and it's like floating in space.
I get it too because the sprites are so big that like maybe they just didn't have the memory to
right.
put that
right.
in.
This is 1988.
Yeah. So but the sprites sort of make up for the lackluster everything else, I would say. Maybe not lackluster, but you know, I would say neither great nor miserable.
Yeah. Detail's strong in the enemies. Background is a little less strong.
Yeah.
There's like some jungle terrains and stuff that like those just kind of become hard to look at after a while.
Yeah. I was kind of more talking about like the foreground, like the ground itself and like the rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
That's sort of where I was just kind of like, kind of brings it down a little bit, but
yeah.
The base levels where you're basically fighting the walls coming out. Like, I was kind of like,
they're detailed. They're just, it all just kind of meshes together.
Yeah. Though. So I gave the graphics a 4 overall. Sprites were really good. But like again, it's the Nintendo. Like I'm not holding that against it, but they're not great. Like if this were on Super Nintendo, it would get a 5 easily.
Oh yeah.
Because like you could do so much more and like it would look so much more detailed.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on a 4 as well. I think all the kaiju look fantastic. That Godzilla sprite is just so good.
Yep.
So I mean the Mothra one is too, but the Godzilla sprite is just so good.
Yeah. When you're playing as, I preferred playing as Godzilla in the game overall. Anyway, but like as I was playing as Mothra, I was just like, okay, this is still pretty fun.
Yeah, Mothra. Well, I guess when we get to gameplay, I'll save it for that.
And next, I wanted to talk about controls briefly. Sluggish, responsive, but sluggish. You are a giant monster, so like maybe that's like the thought process going into it.
Yeah.
But like as a person who just played through like Metroid games and Castlevania games, and that's like super responsive and really really tight. Ninja Gaiden, like
it's definitely those games that is not
right. And I would call those a 5.
Yeah.
Then you have games like. Let me think of another game real quick. Like maybe like Three Stooges. That's like a terrible controlling game.
Sure, yeah.
So that would be like a 1. I still like that game though. So I feel like Godzilla sort of falls in the middle somewhere. I liked Mothra's controls a lot more than Godzilla.
Yeah, because Godzilla's big, slow, and clunky.
Yeah,
which I'm gonna guess is like probably was like by design.
Yeah.
But
Mothra, you have more maneuverability.
Yeah.
You're just such a huge target that you just keep on taking damage.
Yeah.
Like, luckily, you're constantly getting power-ups, though, so...
Yes. Godzilla also throws, like, the fastest jabs in all
in the
video
boss
games.
Fights, yeah. The jabs, that's pretty much all I did was jabs and tail swipes. And
yeah. You get a kick. You get a kick that is, like, kind of useless in boss fights. Outside of Gigan, who you gotta, like, you can either kick or a tail swipe in the stomach to, like, knock the wind out of him. But yeah, Mothra is, like... a much better control system. Is like Mothra's faster, flying around, they work. I guess that's well.
They work, but they're not noteworthy. So I just gave it a 3. A good 3 though.
Yeah, they function.
It's not a bad playing game. But I don't have much to say other than that. Like, I definitely preferred boss fights again with Godzilla.
Oh yeah, agreed. Yeah.
So.
Except for a few, which I'll keep saving for gameplay.
Well, next up was the level design / gameplay of the game. So this I broke out into 2 parts just because like level design was more like along with the lines of like what you're doing and getting through.
Yeah.
And I thought the boss fights were fine, no issues there, but the side scrollers were kind of your sprite's too big for all the stuff that's going on.
Right.
And I think that's why they programmed so many health items.
Oh, yeah. So to kind of give a kind of overview of like what you're generally doing in this game is that like you're kind of working through planet after planet, where there's different kaiju at each planet, and essentially you got to work your way through a map. But like as you work through that map, it's like a hexagonal grid, and as you work through like these different terrains and elements, like you're just doing a whole series of side-scrolling levels, and kind of sticking with like the level design thing. It's like they're all just kind of the same.
Yes. And so I'll talk more about that and like how to improve the game, but like I think they could have cut down on the number of side scrollers. I think that's a lot of padding.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you got to work through 8-9 planets, because you got to get through Planet
Right.
X as well. So it's just this is kind of where the game starts to get hurt.
Yes.
Is that the boss fight stuff is all great, but yeah, going through like the same side scrolling levels, like, and it's not like I would say like you probably have granted they're very short, like, but you still probably have to get Godzilla and Mothra. You got to get them both through. Probably about like 15-20 screens like per planet to clear it, you know.
What combined, yeah. I was
Yeah,
gonna say, probably
yeah.
5 to 10 a piece.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's just a
It's a
lot of the same levels. And then you go to another planet, and maybe the backgrounds will change a little bit, but the
it's
basic
mostly the
concept is
same.
kind of the same.
It might get a little busier as the game goes on, but you're kind of locked in there. And that's sort of like where my liking of the game kind of takes a downturn, because like after a while it's like, okay, I just want to do the boss fights now.
Right.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
But they just keep on coming, and you just got to power through them. But speaking of the actual boss fights, I think at first, like, the time frame that you have to fight the boss,
Oh, yeah.
it's kind of like, all right, I didn't kill him. All right, I barely did any damage. All right, I'm sitting there waiting. And that was the only negative part, like the fact that you have to keep on going, like retrying the boss fights.
Right. And the boss's health regenerates a little bit.
Yeah.
Like in between, like, so yeah, I don't know what it is. I think you get like about 30-45 seconds
Yeah.
with the boss before like it takes you out of the battle and back to the map. And then yeah, like it's hard when like they regenerate their health. Now sometimes that can save you. Like if like King Ghidorah pins you against the wall, like, and you're just thinking like, please, like let's get to that break period, because then you can kind of quickly run through a level again, get some power ups, go back in with more health and fight him again. But yeah, generally not a good, yeah, it kind of sucks when it takes you out of the action.
Yeah.
Outside of when it saves your ass. Then you're like, yes, I'm so glad this mechanic is here.
One of the things was just like at first the boss health they're way too strong at first.
Yeah, but you level up as you defeat them.
Yeah, you get strong. It's like an RPG element. You get stronger. But at first, it's just, come on.
Yeah.
And then you finally beat them. You beat the squid in
Ghidorah and Megira in the first level.
And then the second screen, who do you fight?
Is that Varan in the second level?
He's there, but you fight Ghidorah and Megira.
Oh, Megira again. Yeah, everyone you beat keeps coming back.
And that's sort of just like, oh, come on. Like you fight those two like probably like,
well, every level from there on
I was gonna say probably like 5 to 10 times a piece.
Yeah. No, as soon as once a kaiju appears, they appear like in every level for like the rest of the game.
And I just didn't like that. Like they look great, but like actually playing through the fights could have been streamlined.
Yeah. So Godzilla is probably the better pick for, I would say, probably about half the monsters. And then like there are some like Mothra, like particularly like Mogira and Mechagodzilla. Like Mothra is very good against them, because like you can position Mothra in such a way that like their laser beams, like that kind of come from like their head, can't hit Mothra.
Yeah.
So Mothra can like defeat Mechagodzilla without like taking a hit. And if you try to take on Mechagodzilla as Godzilla, that's like one of the harder fights for Godzilla. Mogira is easy for both, but like that's another one like where Mothra can basically not get hit. And like Baragon's another one that Mothra can take down pretty easily.
Yeah.
And then like, but yeah, then there's Yeah, then the rest, I guess, is kind of like a crapshoot. Godzilla's probably a little bit better for Gigan, but like, all the some of the bosses, like Gigan's one of the guiltiest of it. Ghidorah, and Ghidorah does this too, but Ghidorah doesn't do any damage to you. Like they can pin you against the wall, and if Gigan does it with his like buzzsaw out, like you're like fucked. So that's on one hand, it makes those fights very exciting, very, very thrilling. But on the other hand, too, you just like when it comes out and they just want to push you against the wall, you have no recourse. Like there's nothing for you to do, and you just gotta hope that like you just survive.
Right.
But I guess kind of sticking on the gameplay thing is that we didn't really mention. I think Godzilla's atomic breath attack is very satisfying to use in this game.
Yeah,
I thought does more damage. Like if you get a little further back and so like the beam expands like as it goes out,
right,
that will do more damage. And I always thought that was like, especially when you get like when you get kind of leveled up later in the game and like you can kind of fire off like the beam like back to back like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, right.
That's very fun.
So like when you first start off, you don't get much health or power, and that's your only 2 meters. Your power is for your beam, the health is for obviously for your health. Like Mothra's beam attack is she like throws wings down.
Yeah, it's supposed to be her. It's supposed to be her poisonous powder attack.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was just shedding wings.
I don't know. I guess I just don't think they had like another way to do it, so they said, we'll just gotta use that sprite. And chop it up. But it's supposed to be the poisonous powder reflective scale attack thing.
Okay, that makes more sense. Godzilla's beam was the best part of the boss fights. You just walk in, you hit that real quick, you lower your enemy's health, and then you just jab them and stuff.
Box them up real good.
Yeah, so that was my strategy. I thought the Gigan fight was probably the best. The Gigan or Varan were probably the 2 best fights. Varan just because like you don't really beat him. He's like, oh, Varan has escaped to the next board.
Yeah, Varan always does like very very dramatic, like throws his head and arm back when you hit him like too many times, which not from any of the movies, but that's pretty funny.
But like I just enjoyed how Varan was like a special enemy who like left the board.
Yeah.
Whereas like the other 2, you just like killed them.
Yeah. Yeah, Varan's like, I'm gonna peace out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gigan is probably I would say Gigan's probably the hardest besides Ghidorah.
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, Ghidorah is like really fucking hard. Like, especially like when you have to fight him towards the end of the game. Like, you need like Godzilla and Mothra like positioned together so that like you can just have them both go. Like, you're probably gonna have to fight Ghidorah. Like the fight's probably gonna break about 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
And so like you need like Godzilla and Mothra both right there, like putting dents in him and keeping his health down. So, in that sense, it's cool they like found a way to kind of incorporate them as like a tandem.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, that's another very stressful fight.
So for level design, I would give it a 2, and for boss fights, I gave it a 3.
Oh, I would be remiss if I did not mention one particular enemy in this game. Did you come across the comet and like the regular side scrolling levels?
The comet.
It only comes across like when you hit a certain level, and it's like this yellow comet with like twin tails at the end, and it kind of swoops in, and it just kind of like follows like your character, like kind of like in a big up and down swooping motion. But if it hits you, it like saps your power like at an extremely fast rate. And like basically, if you're Godzilla and like it hits you, it's probably going to kill you.
Oh, really?
Because like it works through you so slowly that it just wipes out all your health. And it's like that's like kind of like the infamous enemy from this game that gave everyone like nightmares. But like it's not too hard to avoid. You just like basically when it comes on screen, you just gotta go, I gotta do whatever I can to avoid this. But it only appears like in the later levels of the game. Like when you get leveled up to a certain point, it starts to appear.
Okay. So I'll be honest, I played for probably an hour. Never saw it.
Yeah, you're not gonna see it in the first couple levels.
Yeah. So
now, did you take my advice with the Shrill Monsters password?
I did not. So explain that to me.
Okay. So one thing that is kind of interesting with this game is like there's a lot of password features in this game. Like a lot of them just kind of take you to like debug rooms and like like test levels and stuff like that. But what's kind of become popular with this game is that there's one password called Destroy All Monsters. and when you input that password, it takes you to the first level. I mean, it starts the game as normal, but all the enemy kaiju are on that first level on Earth, and you get bumped up to level 8 to start.
Okay.
So Godzilla and Mothra are both at level 8. The enemy kaiju, they're not at their max level, but they are like kind of appropriately leveled. And so there's like people like will speed run this version of the game. They just go like, yeah, we're gonna do the Destroy All Monsters mode, and like basically it's like you just play through Earth and you just fight all the monsters. It's basically just doing what you do in the final level of the game on the first level. So like Ghidorah's at the end, and you got to defeat Ghidorah at the end.
Sure.
So that's like a pretty fun way to play the game, because like you only walk through like a handful of side scrollings before you just get into a crush of enemies. But like you can kind of like you can funnel them to you like where you're taking them on like one at a time. Like you're never really getting ambushed. You know, you can level up Godzilla and Mothra like a little bit more, and there's a cap to how high you can level up in the first level when you do this mode. But like Ghidorah is beatable, and makes it like a challenge, like to beat Ghidorah. That's a really fun way to play the game, because you're basically doing the best parts of the game for one level. And then what I like to do is after I clear it, you go back to the password screen and you type in start to end, and you get the ending.
Oh, nice.
So that's what I do. So we didn't go over like the plot of the game, but basically Planet X is invading Earth.
Yeah.
And so if you do start to end, you get the ending, which actually has some pretty sweet ending music.
Yep.
And it's there's like one. Do you want me to spoil this part of the ending for you?
Yeah.
Okay. There's one part where like Planet X, like they're like it's like basically Godzilla and Mothra. Like you get this cool drawing of Godzilla and Mothra. Like
I've seen the ending.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like when it's scrolling through, like there's a message from Planet X, and they're like, you know, we've been defeated. There's like one line to go, we'll never see King Ghidorah or Gigan again. And I'm like, oh, that's sad.
Oh, sucks for you guys.
So yeah, that was all I wanted to kind of say on that.
Okay. So like I guess overall the highlights of the game are the music, the graphics, and the boss fights. The lowlights are the side scrolling levels and I guess the comet.
The comet. Yeah, it's the tedium of the game.
Yeah.
You know?
Like the graphics and the gameplay, like controls and all that stuff, I would say they're sort of like middle of the road. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a deep game.
Yeah.
At any from the control standpoint. Yeah.
So do you want to rank this bad boy?
Yeah. So I was thinking like how we're going to like rank this. I was thinking maybe like we rank this and compare it. Like we don't rank it to other video games that exist in the world, like just Godzilla video games.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like
I ranked it according to video games.
Oh.
Overall.
Because I was thinking like if we ranked it as far as like, I mean, most Godzilla video games are actually not very good. So but I was like, if in terms of Godzilla games, like if like Destroy All Monsters Melee or Saves the Earth, those are like 5-star games. We haven't established a floor yet, but I like go okay in like the grand scheme of Godzilla games. Like this is, if you do the Destroy All Monsters mode, it's a 3. If you just play it straight up, it's a 2.
Okay, you're more critical than I am then.
Oh,
because I said this game is so close to being like an all-time classic. If they did a few things differently, like basically what I'm saying, like Destroy All Monsters mode, like is close, but like if you took away like the boards and you replaced it with like more of like a Mario 3 setup, where you have like stations where you have to go here, you have to get through the level and then fight a boss. And there's less repetition of the boss fights.
Yes.
You just fight the boss once, you beat him, and then like the other character has to fight the next boss. If you like made it so like certain characters are better against certain bosses, so you have to play levels a certain way for like optimal playability.
Yeah.
Like if you made it more like Mega Man style, or
yes, I agree.
And then after you beat a boss, if that character became like a playable character, like Castlevania 3 or Mega Man,
you break them free of that alien control.
Right. If you like won them over on your side rather than just killing them, like I feel like that could be like a huge gameplay element, because then you could have like Baragon versus Gigan or
right.
or like
it would be great if you could do a separate mode where you had a fighting game.
Yeah.
Of these. Yeah, like you could do something like kind of like what you were saying, like I like the Mega Man idea, where it's like you could send Godzilla to like Varan's stage, then you got to send Mothra to like another stage, you know, like, and it's like you could have them fight through that way. Like, I feel like you could take all the assets in this game,
Yes,
and make a different game. That would be a classic.
That's one of the notes I said was like, if like you could probably like make a ROM hack of this game and make it perfect. But overall, like this, I thought this was like a really fun game. So I gave it a very strong 3 overall. Just a few things like if they just did a few things differently, it could have been like up there with like Castlevania and Mega Man.
Yeah, it's just too tedious.
Yeah,
that's the problem. So. Yeah, someone out there who can ROM hack, like, let's take all these assets, make like a Mega Man style structure to this. I would love you.
Or even if it was like the Mario 3 makeup where like you're still on a board, but it's more linear.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You have to you know, Godzilla's Mario, Mothra's Luigi.
Yeah.
And so you go through like one level, you beat the boss, and then it's the next person's turn, you know. I feel like that could be like a good way to improve this.
So I haven't really seen it in action, but from what I understand is that a group was working on making a playable game of the creepypasta. And as far as I know, like they've gotten pretty far into it. There are
YouTube videos. I haven't really watched them, but I was trying to watch like the playthroughs last week before I started playing it, just to know what I was getting into. And you know, I got some pretty solid game walkthrough gameplay of the game.
The creepypasta one?
No, it's just the normal game.
One.
Just so I could see like every asset that they had, basically. Playing through it, like I said, I played for like an hour. I got to like Gigan. I never got to Mechagodzilla.
Do the Terrell Monsters mode. That's a lot more fun. That's the only way I play the game.
That sounds like it's more my speed.
Yeah, and I've contemplated like trying to get good at like trying to speed run that mode. I forget what the world record is, but it's I think it's not impossible. Like it's not unattainable. It's like because I mean it's still going to take you like 25-ish minutes to like beat that version of the game. So yeah, I mean it's a game right there. Fantastic looking game, fantastic sounding game.
All right, if you're Arcus, what's the sound effect you make for Godzilla's atomic breath?
Whoosh.
It's a good swish.
It's a good whoosh.
All right, so yeah, I think we both give a pretty solid thumbs up to Godzilla on NES. But, you know, we have Godzilla 2 coming up to cover now.
Yeah.
Do you want to set this
the table again? Yeah. Godzilla 2, War of the Monsters, released in 1992. Published by Toho, developed by nobody knows. And Pat the NES Punk actually talked about in one of his podcast episodes where when he was doing his like complete NES guidebook, he's like there's no reliable information as to who actually developed this game. This was there's again, and because of that there's actually not too much background, but one little interesting piece of trivia is that this game was originally not going to be called Godzilla 2, it was going to be called Rodan. And it got so far that posters came bundled with Godzilla games that we had. I have some of these posters buried somewhere in my house where it's advertised as Rodan, not as Godzilla 2. But then at some point, some people say the game was canceled. I mean, I think it was just renamed Godzilla 2, War of the Monsters. And this was only released in America. This never got a...
Interesting.
Yep, never got a release outside of America. For the eBay value.
Oh, I was going to say, this is going to be astronomical.
Cart only is recently selling. These are sold completed listings.
$500.
That's complete in box.
Oh, okay.
But cart only is almost $200.
Okay.
It's
that's a little more reasonable than I was thinking.
Yeah. So I have this complete in box. In like minty condition too. I mean, it's open, but it's minty condition.
It's not sealed.
I'm not getting it graded. I got this at a flea market probably 20 plus years ago for $5.
There you go.
Yep. And, but also, I'm going to say at the time that I probably bought it, that was like when Nintendo games like weren't like really like back to being like super sought after collectibles yet.
Right.
because this game like wasn't really worth too much. But you know, a 1992 Nintendo game, that's kind of where you're starting to head towards like things getting a little bit rarer and harder to find because Super Nintendo's out now, right? Like
Super Nintendo came out in 91.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is a later Nintendo game.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of it for background.
So this game, just to give you a heads up, it's more of like a tower defense game. It's not really.
Oh, it's like a real time strategy.
Yeah. It's more like you're trying to defend your territory from the monsters that are coming on.
Yeah, it's trying to be like Godzilla Fire Emblem. Is what it's trying to be.
Yeah.
Trying.
I was going to say, like, there's no way this was developed as a Godzilla game, so it's funny you said it was a Rodan game, because I was just like, someone just tacked the monsters onto this to make it like sell, because it just seemed like this was probably something that a bunch of college kids made, you know?
Yeah, so we should we break this one into the same categories we did?
I don't know if you can, really. I mean, I did, but there's not as nearly as much to say. Like, the music and sound effect, there's like 3 or 4 loops, and they're all kind of...
Yeah. Yep. Well, we covered that. Controls, okay, so I guess we can kind of lump controls and gameplay in together. So the gameplay is it's like a real-time strategy game. You have bases that you got to deploy resources from, like tanks and the Super X2 and blah 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 blah, and then like, you know, enemy monsters like Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, Hedorah, Baragon, the killer UFO, the generic just UFO, but looks more like the Keylak ones from Trail Monsters. Who else is in this game? Baragon's in the game. Who am I missing?
Truth be told, Baragon and Godzilla were the only monsters I saw.
So you did like the first level, first scenario?
I tried.
So there's 12 different scenarios to do in this game. Like, it's not like a game you go level by level. You can just play whatever scenario you want. It sounds like you probably did the first one where you got to like lure Godzilla to the ocean with the nuclear material, and then you got to fire off the oxygen destroyer ways in the water. That's the most dynamic this game gets in terms of levels. The rest are just pretty much just like beat the monsters.
Yeah.
Mothra in her adult form and the Mothra larvae in the game. Some levels they're against you, but towards the later scenarios, they are actually allies that you can recruit. That's probably the coolest thing that happens in this game, is that but you got to find their egg. You got to get a radar car, and you got to go use the radar to find the egg. So, you know, that all takes a lot of time. Especially in the later scenarios, like you can build the SY2 from Monster Zero, and that's like your most powerful weapon in the game. Like, you can basically one-shot pretty much every enemy if you can hit them, which we'll get back to in a second.
Missed.
But it's like, to build the SY2, you got to take 3 parts basically across the map, and those parts can only move 2 squares at a time. So you need to like load them into like a trailer to then help you carry them across, and it's again, you are taking forever just to move these things across the map to build this thing, like, because all your other units suck. Your tanks, your jets, like, they suck. They have like 3 units of health. Pretty much every monster can like one shot them. So the later scenarios, you are depending on Mothra in the SY3.
Okay.
And like that's pretty much, and the Super X2, because the Super X2 can reflect beams back. But so what happens when you get into a battle? Why don't you break this lovely battle system down?
So I don't understand it, to be honest with you. like you get into like it's almost like RPG-esque, where you know, you get into a battle with one of the monsters, and it took a while for me to happen. It probably took like 5, 6, 7 minutes for me to get into my first battle with Baragon. And like basically, like, the music changes. It's probably the best music of the game when you're in a battle, and these 3 icons appear on the top of the screen. They appear on the top of the screen, and I guess you got to try to match them, like, by tapping buttons. Is that what you do?
So there's blue icons and red icons.
Yeah.
The blue ones are supposed to help you. The red ones help the enemy.
Okay.
Now what's unclear to me is, like, so if you matched all 3 icons, which I can tell you is nearly impossible.
Yeah,
This is like
I never did. I got
this is like a
two blues and a red.
This is like a slot machine gimmick.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean just get all 3 blues. Like, you got to get 3 of the same icon
Yeah,
of the
'cause-
same color.
Yeah,
If you get that, you will basically one-shot the enemy. Or vice versa. If you get 3 matching red icons, they'll like one-shot you.
Mhm.
What's unclear to me is what happens if you just get a bunch of icons that don't match and it's a mix of colors. I don't know. I don't get if it's like a buff or a debuff. Like, that mechanic is very unclear to me.
For me, like, what was happening was, like, I would get, like, 2 blues and a red, and I would fire a missile, and I would do a little bit of damage to the enemy. Or I'd fire, like, a bomb and do a little bit of damage to them. If I got 2 reds and a blue, they would fire at me, and luckily, like, mist happened a lot.
Yes.
Like, I think maybe, like, 2 or 3 of my things got killed the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't that hard. But it was just sort of like, this isn't very fun at all.
Yeah, so I think this game is trying to be a mix of like Fire Emblem and like Advanced Wars and like these other like tactical games, but it includes the slot machine gimmick that is just like, you just miss and miss and miss, and then it's like, so you go, okay, well, if you have a jet or let's use a tank for example. So like with a tank, you have an option to fire a gun, or you have an option to fire a tank. That's very Fire Emblem. Like, you go into battle and you choose a weapon, and they got different stats and a hit rate and stuff like that. Like, yeah, your machine gun is probably always going to hit, but it's going to do like 0 damage. So
Right.
there's no point to use it. You
Right.
got to use like a stronger weapon. Now, if you're the tank firing the cannon, your accuracy is already way significantly lower. Like, you got to like just pray that like it hits. And even if it does hit, it doesn't do a lot of damage. And it's just like, you just find yourself like using these tanks and jets to just kind of hold kaiju in place until you can get like a Super X out there, or Mothra out there, or like the Moonlight SY2. Like, because it's like they can't stand up to them, especially when you do like the later scenarios where like they dump every monster in the game onto the map. Like, you just what am I doing here? Like, these tanks are literally here just to be fodder.
Yeah.
Until I can get like the stronger weapons in place. And even then,
that's where like the tower defense thing comes into play. Where you just, it's more like a stratego type of thing. Like, what's your first line of defense? Probably those shitty guys.
Yeah.
And then like behind that are like your bigger weapons, and then behind that are your monsters and things like that.
once you kind of get the hang of it and realize, go like, okay, like everything's gonna, like the Super X2 will always go against the UFO. Or like, you know, you got to get Mothra, and Mothra is going to be able to take on Godzilla, and like then you need the SY3 to take on King Ghidorah, because basically nothing can take on King Ghidorah in this game besides that. You go, okay, none of these are actually that hard. I just got to get these things deployed and just kind of like, you know, pray to the slot machine gods. But other highlights of this game is that when you go into the menu, did you go to the scientist for help at all?
No.
Oh, well, you missed out a real treasure in this game. There's
Sorry.
3 scientists. One is Dr. Sarazawa. And then the other 2, I think, I don't think there are any movie references at all. But there's 3 scientists that you can ask for help in each scenario. And sometimes one of them will say, hey, if you take that radar car and you search over there, you might find Mothra. Or they'll say, like, hey, Baragon goes underground. Use the radar car to find him. Or like the radar car apparently does all sorts of shit. The radar car can also freeze King Ghidorah in place. But so you get those every now and then. But most of the time, you go to those 3 scientists for help, and all they say is, "I can't help you." And you just go, why? Why do you have 3 scientists where 2 of them, at least 2 of them in each level, will go, yeah, I can't help you.
I have no notes.
Yeah, it's just like, you're just like, what? Like, you don't need 3 scientists then. Just have like 1 scientist like deliver whatever message is needed for that level. So it's yeah. But this battle system, I gotta go back to it. It's the worst. It's the worst.
The battle system was the worst part of the game. Like keep in mind, again, this is the NES. These type of like strategy games are more primitive in form compared to what they are now.
But again, Famicom Wars, Fire Emblem, granted, these things are already out. And
I was
going to
say,
for
like,
years.
There are better versions of this game out. That's why I was like, this is probably just like a bunch of like college kids like senior project. Or
Yeah,
something
maybe
like that.
that's why like the developer's totally unknown.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, because it was like, like I just I want to find the redeeming qualities in it, and it's like you look at it, it's like a board game type of situation. It kind of looks like a cross between Clue and Dragon Warrior.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even think the sprites are good. It's
In the
like,
battle, I was going to say like Godzilla 1 mops the floor with this.
yeah. I think the Mothra sprite in this game is really good. I don't think the Baragon one's good.
No.
Yeah, I shouldn't say good. I should just say okay. The Rodan one's all right. I don't like the Ghidorah one.
But like, I think at the end of the day, like when you think of Godzilla in a video game, what you don't want to be doing is like moving around tanks and like strategy and stuff. You want to be either fighting as Godzilla or fighting against Godzilla.
Right.
You want him to be prominent. And I just didn't think Godzilla was a prominent feature of the Godzilla game.
No, and it's like, but also like neither is Rodan. It's like,
yeah, so
I just don't get it.
So like for me, like this kind of falls flat. Like I don't want to shit on these games. They're not my cup of tea. Like I'm more like action RPG oriented. You're more like turn-based RPG oriented.
But I think this fails even as the genre that is trying to be.
Yeah.
Because it introduces mechanics that don't work and don't need to be there. And so I think it fails even trying to be the style of game it's trying to be. Myself personally, I think.
Like I'm trying to look at like the redeeming qualities and like just the NES was, you couldn't do much with it. This was more of a I feel like it was more of like a slap Godzilla on the game so it sells type of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, why else are you releasing a game like this in 1992? Like
on a system that is on its last legs.
Yeah, this seems like a weird dump cash grab thing. It's also very odd. Like, there's so little information around the development of this game, which I find so odd. Like why did it only come out in America? Like, now this is 1992. Like, there's no Godzilla movies out in America. Like Biollante was on VHS in like 2 years prior.
Well,
like there's nothing to like.
It makes me think that like it was probably a bunch of college kids who got like in touch with a
Tommy Tallarico just developed the entire game.
I was gonna say like a bunch of kids probably developed it for like next to no money, and Taekwondo 13, all right, and probably got like in touch with Nintendo of America, who were focusing on the Super Nintendo, and they're like, hey, we got the strategy game, there's probably like a Godzilla licensing thing going on with it, or Rodan or something like that. They're probably just fans, and they probably got in touch with Nintendo, like, hey, could we put this out in your system? And they were probably like, yeah, it's not a Super Nintendo, no one will buy it, we don't care. Slap that seal of approval on it and have fun.
Now, I do like that it uses the awesome artwork poster that was done for Godzilla 84. The one, you've probably seen it. It was like the advanced release poster. It's the one that's like all red, where Godzilla's like bright red and fiery, and he's like he's towering above like all of Tokyo.
Yep.
That poster's awesome, and having that as box art is that's like, I feel like I have a cool physical 3D poster of that. That is the only redeeming thing I can say about this game, other than it's almost $500 value.
So if you're gonna rank this, how would you rank it?
This is the spoilers. I think this is the worst Godzilla game. So this is my one. This is my floor for this.
I am also jobbing it out at 1.
Yeah.
Like it's not what you want in a Godzilla game at all. I'm sure like some people love playing it and
I don't think so.
well,
I've never heard anybody really defend this game.
If you love this game, then keep loving it. Don't listen to us. But like for me, it wasn't my kind of game. I enjoy playing it.
Yeah.
I thought like everything you did was kind of goofy and it wasn't for me. So.
This game, it would be a lot different if that stupid slot machine mechanic didn't exist, and if the characters just kind of had like
a turn-based RPG fight.
Yeah, and it's like kind of like, it's like essentially rolling dice, which I guess is almost like the slot machine thing, but it's like, but again, using more like the stats inherent to the characters like an RPG would.
Or if you play like, if you do the turn-based battle thing, but instead of the slot machine mechanic, you ever play like golf? It's like button tapping
or-
in time. So like
yeah.
if you tap the button at the right time, you get better power out
Yeah,
of it.
it's that slot machine thing. It kills the entire game.
Yeah. I think if you
could
did something like golf, it would be
Yeah.
much better in terms of playability.
You know, I think, and I don't think this game has ever really been held in high regard by anybody. I know there's a real time strategy game out now. I think that's on Steam. That's like an RTS like Hydro game that I do think makes like a lot of references to this game, but like not like in a super like love letter way. It's like I've seen like screenshots of this where it's like there'll be like a scientist that you can ask for help, and the scientist goes, "I can't help you." So, but the gameplay is not the same. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an RTS, but it's but like it's I think it's pretty widely accepted that
And by
that-
RTS, you mean real time strategy.
yes, yeah, is that slot machine gimmick is just it just kills it. It just kills the game. So it's too
So-
bad.
Jobbing it out, like I have no notes on how to improve this either. Like it's more or less like it's just not what you should do for Godzilla. Like Godzilla should be like how the first game was, and if they improved upon that formula, I think this game could have been a lot better. I don't think this game could have improved much more if it was on any other system either, like
Yeah,
Sega
no, I
Genesis
agree.
or Super Nintendo. I don't
Yeah.
think the graphics would probably be better, but that would be about it.
I guess. Well, I don't know. I don't want to dive too much into the Super Nintendo games because
No, we'll save that for later.
yeah, because I feel like when we get to the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom games, like it is going to be just like this. It's going to be a tale of two games.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it's just too bad that they never really figured it out on those consoles.
yeah, and it's not just Godzilla. It's like they didn't figure it out with Gamera either. Like Gamera has like some like a Star Fox clone type game, but like you don't actually play as Gamera. Like Gamera just flies with you. Like it's like a very like Panzer Dragoon game. It's supposed to be
Okay.
good, but again, you don't control Gamera. Gamera just kind of like flies with you. Very odd. I don't know if we will get to it as we do all these like Godzilla games, but like there's the King Kong 2 game on Famicom.
Yep, I played that.
Yeah, that's good. It's just weird, very weird. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like I don't know. I just don't know why making games about giant monsters is just so perplexing to people.
You'd think it'd be like a layup, but like, I guess you're Rajon Rondo trying to lay it up.
Oh,
Ah,
hey.
Deep cut.
Both figuratively and right in his soul. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess that's all I got to say.
So if you're going to play one of the games, the first one,
Yes, yeah.
very enjoyable, kind of long and tedious, but for a Godzilla game, I think it does the
Again,
trick.
do Destroy All Monsters mode.
Yeah.
And it's an easy 3 right there.
Fig talk. Let's talk about figs that we got.
Let's.
You get any?
I did. I got the same 2 that you got.
You did, yeah. I knew that, but I just wanted to ask you for effect. So, the other night I recorded a podcast with my other podcast with my friend John. We finished up, and I was like, I'm tired. I just want to go to bed. Tried, couldn't. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to Target, see what they got. I don't know. Something's in me. I got to go there. And sure enough, the Titan Gear, whatever they're called,
Titan Tech? I think they're
Titan
Titan Tech.
Titan Tech. The Titan Tech Godzilla and King Kong figures were there.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, thank God.
The weirdest Playmates releases to date.
Oh, by far. So if you're not familiar, a few years ago when the GVK figures were revealed in a China toy show, Godzilla had like a red shield around him. It's blue on this figure now. Good change. I think that looks way better.
I agree. I don't recall that figure having all these weird missiles and
No,
shit.
I think it was just like
the red cage or
the
the
red cage and the spines. But there's a blue one now, and it looks so much better. So we'll talk. We'll go through each figure one by one. We'll start with Godzilla because he's our boy. You start off.
So I think the Cog one is much more needs the
I'm
discussion.
saving the best for last. So this one, you start off. It's a fairly good Godzilla figure. it's a little bit bigger, and so the detail could be a little bit better on these.
Yeah.
And it's mostly noticeable in the head. This is the best Godzilla head mold that I've seen Playmates do.
Yes,
so
he
far.
doesn't have an underbite like some legendary Playmates have been having, I feel like.
Yeah, and like the jaws aligned. There's still that trademark Playmates, like it's like you build a sandcastle and like a wave kind of crashes over it a little bit. It's still got that like
It's a good
smoothing effect on
analogy.
that. But overall, I think this is probably one of, if not the best Godzilla Playmates figures. I love how goofy it is. He's got like little tabs all over him, like little blue tabs. He's got like a blue chest piece.
My headcanon, that's the Venom logo, and he's
Your headcanon.
and the reason why he's just kind of got this like flat black matte finish is because that's the Venom symbiote, and he's got
I was gonna say, I think they did the flat matte finish was just so that the blue would pop a little bit more.
it does. I'll say that.
Kess likes his Godzilla figures to pop. He's got like weird like side flaps that turn into like, I guess, shoulder guns. Like it's so weird. Even like for whatever reason, the top of the dorsal fins is like a solid baby blue. But you can flip it over, and it's like the same baby blue, but with a little bit like more royal blue.
Oh, I forgot to flip that. I forgot to flip that over at mine. Yeah.
It's like okay.
It's like this is like when you're a kid and you're like sketching Godzilla in your notebook and you're like, oh, it's gonna be sick if I just like put like missiles and machine guns and shit all over him. Hell yeah! Like the tail, like you're looking at the tail now. It's like this like weird like buzzsaw thing. Like at the end.
It's a weird buzzsaw thing, and like it looks almost like a gun or a battleship type of thing that just like sits on his tail. His legs have like little flaps that like you can spin around. They have little like blades on his shins.
Yeah, yeah.
like so if Godzilla wants to get into a kicking fight, like he's got some blades on there. It's so bonkers. It's literally like if like you ask a kid like, hey, design a cool Godzilla toy, and the kid was just like, okay, I'll show you. It's so bizarre. I love it.
I know these are like the weirdest. It's Playmates. You just keep finding a way to just really keep us on our toes,
right? And like these aren't in scale with any other figures they're doing. Like it's their own scale. Like these are like 9 inches,
right? Yeah, that's true.
They're not as big as like the 12-inch tall figures, and then they're much bigger than like the normal 6-inch tall figures. So they're probably like 8-9 inches altogether. So they're kind of in between.
Oh god, it would be great if they released like a Mechagodzilla one of these, but instead of like,
what do you do?
Well, you turn him inwards and he just turns into a fake Godzilla with no exterior weapons.
So Mechagodzilla is the Titan tech.
Yes, yeah. It's like when everyone was like when like the plot leaks were going on for GVK, and everyone's like, oh yeah, Mechagodzilla is going to be like disguised Godzilla. Like maybe that's what you do with the Mechagodzilla one. He just turns into the regular Godzilla figure.
It's like, you try to write a song that Weird Al can't possibly parody, so he normalizes it.
I was like, I mean, I kind of hope they do more in this line.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Like, if we got like a skull crawler that had like, I don't know, a helicopter thing that came out of its back or something, I don't know, like, or its legs turned into jets, I don't know, like, I want some weird shit like this.
I think Rodan could probably benefit from a Titan tech figure.
I mean, Rodan's just gonna get like some more Playmates representation as it is. He needs it.
Because you could get like Rodan Titan tech like riding a motorcycle or something.
Oh, we are getting that legendary style King Ghidorah soon. Does that mean like a Titan tech one will be on the way of that?
Ooh, that'd be fun.
It kind of just turns into like an over the top Mecha King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
Come on, right? Come on, Playmates. Come on, we're giving you ideas to print money right now.
I don't want to replace my Dandai King Ghidorah, Mecha King Ghidorah figure, but like if they did a Titan Tech King Ghidorah, like I'm on board.
I mean, I think from like, I mean, the way this turned out and the figure we're about to talk about turned out, I feel like it's not going to look like a traditional Mecha King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be like chugging Mountain Dew in one head and Surge in the other head.
So,
and it's
so speaking of chugging Mountain Dew and Surge, let's talk about Kong. So he starts off, he's pretty normal, you know.
It's a good Kong figure to start off.
It's a good Kong figure, good detailing. But then when you transform him, my God, this is like the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yes.
So first thing I want to talk about, first thing I noticed when I flipped the heads, he's wearing sunglasses. I'm like, okay, he's cool Kong. I get it. He's got like a headset on.
Yes.
Like he's going to talk to someone.
Yes. Yes.
What did Kong do to communicate in the movie? Sign language.
language.
Who the fuck is he talking to?
Right.
So it's my favorite thing about this. I was like, okay, I love it. Just
also,
for that.
with what the shades remind me of, this is like a very obscure reference that is really meant for our age bracket. Remember, like when McDonald's had what was the Half Moon guy who played jazz, like the jazz piano player?
Yeah.
It was like a moon. It was like, I don't know,
Terrified
Big Moon
me.
or something. He's got like the same shades as the jazz playing Half Moon from the McDonald's in the 90s. If you're too young to get that reference, go look it up on YouTube and buckle up.
I was terrified of that commercial. But yeah, so Kong has shades. I'm just realizing you can flip the guns up from the shoulder pads, so that's even cooler.
Oh, I might have forgot to do that as well.
Well, like he's got like shoulder pads with like missiles on it. You can crank out the arms to reveal like steel beams inside. So jet fuel can't melt him, I guess.
Oh, hey.
He's got a Monarch chest plate that's just an X. The axe. Let's talk about the axe for a second. The axe is like,
looks like something you find like in Legends of the Hidden Temple, but
I was going to
cyber.
say, it has a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild aesthetic.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Like it has this weird futuristic, like it's gold. It's gold and blue. It has a brown hand, and like it looks like it's straight out of Breath of the Wild. And like if he had this in the movie, if he had the dorsal plate axe and then upgraded to this in the movie, I'd be like, yeah.
Maybe in the next movie.
Maybe in the next one.
Maybe that's all these are. These just advanced figures for the next movie.
So, but like, Kong has a lot more going on than Godzilla does in terms of like his aesthetic. Like, there are flaps in the arms that you can flip out to like reveal like weird plates. Don't know what the purpose of either of these on the arms are.
Yeah. So I'm trying to understand. Like, so right below his shoulder, on both of his arms, you got to pull them out a little bit, and you reveal like a little metal bicep thing going on there. And I'm like, does this mean like Kong had his arms like removed and like he's got metal arms now?
Or I think he's just entirely made of metal.
I mean, I guess
He's like a cyborg.
I was like, what happened? Like, did Kong do this willingly? Did something bad? I mean, the box offers no explanation as to why they happened. It's like, oh yeah, here's Kong with a whole bunch of wild shit.
But like, he's definitely cool with it because he's wearing shades.
Yeah, he's got his Xbox headset on too.
Like there are like metal flaps on the legs too that flip open. It's just like the most bizarre, like clearly designed towards kids and like. This if you have a kid who wants to get into Kong and Godzilla and stuff, this should be the figure you buy for him.
I won't lie, when I bought these at Target, I was walking out and I passed like some mother and her little kid. I heard the little kid going like, "Oh, that's the Godzilla that I want." And I was almost like embarrassed that I was holding them. But
did you tell them that you were getting it for your kids?
I just kept walking. But I wonder if like with that headset, maybe like it translates like whatever Kong is growling, and maybe he like because he's got his gamer headset on, he's just this is another dated reference. He's just going boom headshot, boom headshot. Why are you holding that axe? Everybody knows you run faster with an axe. Did you get that reference all of a sudden?
So overall, like with Godzilla's cool, but with Kong, I'm going to use the C word. He's a real contender for figure of the year.
Figure of the year.
I'm going that far with it.
It's just it's funny to me that they gave Kong shades and didn't consider giving like Godzilla like a cigarette or something.
Or like,
If you go this far down the rabbit hole,
yeah, because like Godzilla has like nothing on his head different.
I guess he's got the Venom symbiote
Yeah.
as I'm going with, but
He's got they both have chest pieces, and he's got like the shoulder flaps.
I'm
for
gonna go
missiles.
home and I'm gonna take the shades off my Sammy Guevara figure. And we're gonna put them on Godzilla. That's what I'm going to do.
I just got an X-Pac figure with shades. I could just take them off that, or my
there you
rock
go.
figure. Yeah.
There you go. Because Godzilla needs shades.
So I love these things. I think these are the best idea that Playmates has had so far for figures. I like the Hong Kong Flights Godzilla more, just because I think that's a cool figure. But like these are like you said, you walk by a kid and the kid was like, "Oh, I want that." Like, yeah, this is what you should be doing, Playmates. Like,
Well, I was like, well, there ain't no more Kongs for you, kid. But no, these are things I didn't know I wanted until I had them.
yeah. I knew I wanted them, but like now that I have them, I'm like, okay, I'm so glad I have these.
Like when I first saw that these were coming out, I was kind of like, what is this? And then like I just didn't think too much of it. Then once I got them, I was like, but especially the Kong, it's like I was starting to say this like off mic. I was like, it's like got all these great Kong figures from Playmates and stuff like that, and it's like all these like I never had like a lot of Kong figures, and I was like looking at this collection of all these Kong figures, and then I look over at Kong with missiles wearing shades and a headset, and I go, wow, we have really gone full circle with the Kong figures.
I don't want to say we're jumping the shark with it in terms of Kong figures, but we may have the best Kong figure that there will ever be.
This could be it. Yes, this could be it.
And if that's it for Kong figures, I'm good right here.
It goes out on top right here.
Like the Godzilla one's fine. Like just not as much going on. It's more, in tune with what could possibly happen in the movies, but the Kong, just no way. This is just so bizarre and so out there.
Like this is like the Godzilla one. I feel like is kind of like in line with like what Trendmasters was kind of starting to do in the 90s. Or like they were like, okay, like here, let's slap like some like armor on you, but like they would slap armor on the figures, like the Anguirus that I have, that not many people in the world have. But like
that stack of dimes he calls a neck.
I will return. So like it's like they like you slap armor on him and like he shoots missiles and stuff, but like the Kong one just goes such like a step further than even what the lunacy the Trendmasters was doing.
Yeah,
it's just Godzilla one I think is a little bit in line with like what Trendmasters was doing. The Kong though is just this is far beyond Kong.
It's really like 90s cartoon Kong.
It's so good.
So I say A+. Like I don't think it's as good as the Songa figure in terms of like quality, but I'm just saying in terms of like what it actually is, like I love it.
There's your contenders for figure of the year so far.
Those so far I think are my top contenders this year. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we are supposed to still get that Bandai Movie Monster Series Varan that won the voting contest later this year. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, unless that Varan is wearing shades and is carrying a Walkman that has 30 seconds of anti-skip, I don't know if it's going to be cooler than Kong. So
well, we will see.
We will see.
But yeah, so those are the only figs we each got this week or this episode. So hopefully
they were enough. They were enough, let me tell you.
I'm very thrilled I got them. Worth every penny. But we're rearing towards the end of the sode here. So do we want to talk about the next episode?
Yes. So we're going to keep going, I think, for the next few episodes. I think we're going to keep going with the video game trend. I think we will venture into Godzilla's outings in the Super Nintendo and Super Famicom next episode, and I think we will probably discuss momentarily offline, perhaps another Battle Line episode.
Yeah. So
a bonus Battle Line episode in the near future.
We'll get back to like movies and like media, soon. But for right now, we're just gonna play some video games,
unless the video games pop the ratings. So.
Whatever. I'm not a big ratings guy. Thank you to our listener. That's a joke from my other podcast. But especially our international ones.
Oh yeah.
Thanks.
I'm a big ratings guy, and I learned Y'all didn't really want to hear about the Pacific Rim anime. That's all I learned.
which is odd because I thought it was awesome, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I guess. But I guess just nobody else. Maybe enough people just didn't watch it. I don't know. But
I
boy,
think was that the episode where you did the one with Sir Melee, and it was one of our bigger episodes that I wasn't on, and then the next one was like Pacific Rim: The Black, and I was back, and it was
well, our ratings went right back to normal right after the Pacific Rim: The Black episode.
okay.
So I don't recall when the Melee one dropped.
Whenever I look at that, I'm like, oh, I tanked the ratings.
No, I think it was just Pacific Rim: The Black, but I still think it's like funny when you look at our all-time best episodes. Like I think GMK is. I haven't looked at what our all-time best is, but like Singular Point was like became our top one for a long time. I think overall, I think the Singular Point review was like our which was like that was interesting to me that like Singular Point outpaced the Godzilla versus Kong episode. And we were like one of the first podcasts, I think, to have a Godzilla versus Kong episode, and that did really well. This is all great behind the scenes stuff that people can just listen to. But
pulling back the curtain.
But yeah, all of our episodes do well. We have a very steady, dedicated fan base. I very much appreciate that. But yeah, Singular Point was like the big one. And so was GVK, but Singular Point just like was the big one.
So
I guess people want to hear our expert opinions on Singular Point.
we had expert opinions. They're not too bad at all. Especially not mine.
There's the rumors are starting to gain some strength out there that Singular Point Season 2 is in the works.
Good.
So
good. There's a lot to build on there. But yeah, so next episode we're doing Super Nintendo. Do we throw in the TurboGrafx just as a bonus?
Yeah, because that's so similar.
Yeah.
I'll have to play that here before we record. So, but I have played it here.
So stay tuned for more video game stuff. We'll get back to movies soon, and we'll do more movie stuff. Maybe more drinking games. But anything you want to leave the listeners with?
Kong is cool.
Have a great retirement, James White.
Oh yeah, that too.